Hello there, everybody. It's me, Garrett Kidney, the co-host of You've Got to Be Kidding Me on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
And I am Liam Jones, my full name, and I'm also a part of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network as a co-host for You've Got to Be Kidding Me.
We are a TNA history podcast that covers TNA 1 month at a time. We cover all the drama, all the matches, all the Vince Russo nonsense you could ever want in your life.
Have you heard of TNA? I bet you have, but would it be funnier if two people made jokes over it the whole time? Probably.
So if that sounds like fun to you, check it out on this very Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network, and Liam will do bits and whatnot.
Do you like wrestling trivia? Then check out the 5-Star Match Game, the Pro Wrestling Quiz Show. I'm Joe Gagney, and every episode, I grill 3 contestants with 5 rounds of power-packed wrestling trivia. We have over 30 evergreen episodes in the archives covering WWE, AEW, Japan, Mexico, and much, 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 much more. Play along at home and check it out today.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Super J-Cast. I'm Joel, joined by David McDonald. It is Saturday the 1st of July 2023. This is episode 264. I'm going to open up with a question from friend of the show and co-host of The Good, the Bad and the Hungry, which is the Voices of Wrestling all elite wrestling centric podcast, which I was very lucky to appear on last week. Had a great time talking to Tyler and Fred there. And Tyler has a question for you, David.
Oh.
He says...
Okay.
Was The Cure worth missing Forbidden Door?
Yes. Yes, it was. It was great. They were awesome. One of my favorite bands of all time. So seeing them nobody's said anything official, but everybody's getting up there in age. So who knows? But yeah, he sounded strong. The voice sounded strong. I mean, he does have that very distinctive vocal style, but everything sounded great. Yeah, it was fun. It was a nice little pilgrimage, but unfortunately now I get that. I don't know if I've explained it on the show, but I know I explained it to Joel that I get after events that make me very happy, I get very down the downward spiral. So
yeah, the come down. I think that's pretty normal after a big exciting event. I think we all go through that to some extent.
I guess, yeah, but I think I kind of go deep. I go deep with it. I like to go in the deep end of the pool with my depressions. So yeah, that's the answer. It was great. It was great, and yes, from what I saw, and obviously we're going to get into it. I'm glad I made the decision I made. Let's put it that way.
Sorry, I thought you were going to talk longer, so I'd actually got out of bed I was a bit too cold, so I went to adjust the air conditioning. Yeah, sorry about the dead air.
That's staying in, That's going to be great.
Yeah, someone's going to edit that into a best of the Super J-Cast montage at some point.
Joel's chilly.
Be telling the grandkids about that. Hey, do you remember the time when Joel was slightly too cold and there was 3 seconds of dead air? What a moment.
This is the best. The best a man can get. All right. So that's that. We got a show to talk about, don't we? Or not?
We have.
Okay.
No, we do. I mean, it feels like a while since we last spoke.
I know.
It was the what was it? The TSN thing that we did.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm excited to be talking to you again, and I've got an exciting update for you and our listeners. This is the update on what is now being called the annual Barriaga Must Suffer fundraiser for the children. So this is our Discord user Barriaga, who has subjected himself to cinematic torture by repeatedly watching The Flash in exchange for donations to the Ali Forney Centre for Homeless LGBTQ plus youth. So an update for that. he has managed to he's been leading the charge, so full credit to him. But from donations from listeners, and I think most of them come from the Shinihon Freaks in the Discord, $1,189,
Nice.
which is fantastic. And that means he has to watch The Flash 4 times, including once as a dinner date with his new romantic partner. So
Ooh.
that relationship is doomed to failure from the off, which is great news for us. So if you want to contribute, I don't know if there are any other stretch goals for this, but we can certainly think of some and put him through some more torture for coming up with this great fundraiser.
Yeah.
So you can go to www.aliforneycenter.org/donate and throw a tweet at us to suggest something awful that he has to do in exchange for that money.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of terrible programs. They can watch the best of Madonna Engage. That would be torture enough. Oh, my Lord. That's good. Man, a good way to step up Discord. I like that. Good job. Everybody putting their money where their mouth is. I like that. I like that a lot. Great job.
All right, well, there is one very, very big and spicy news story that everyone's talking about.
Oh.
I'm sure you've seen it, Damon. So this is a tweet from New Japan that went out yesterday that says, in recognition of their quick ascension in the ranks of New Japan Pro Wrestling and desire to lead a new generation within NJPW, Shota Umino, Ren Narita, and Yota Tsuji will be collectively known as the Reiwa Three Musketeers.
Oh.
So that is the tweet. In response to that, Shota has rejected it. He says it's disrespectful to the original Musketeers. The New Japan Musketeers, not the Alexandre Dumas Musketeers. But he's also acknowledged that there is a need for a paradigm shift. Yota Tsuji rejected it as well and says that he's on a completely different level to, and I quote, Moxley's Shinbiter and Shibata's imitation bastard.
Wow.
Which is an amazing quote. We're going to be referring to Ren Narita as Shibata's imitation bastard henceforth. He says that Great-O-Khan can have his spot in the Musketeers because he doesn't want it. Ren says that he never agreed to it and wasn't consulted. Shota's fired back at Tsuji and said that Tsuji's riding on the coattails of LIJ. He hasn't achieved anything apart from losing to Sanada, called him Big Mouth de Japon. Lots of other wrestlers have been tweeting angrily about it. Damon, your thoughts, please.
Well, here's what they did with one tweet is set up a pretty substantial cross-section of feuds and stuff to fight over. I don't know if that was their intent or not, but there we have it, which I think is good, right? To have a motivation to kind of pick a side, so to speak. In the same breath, though, wow, way to put some additional pressure on some young wrestlers just trying to make their way in the business. That seems like I don't want to say you're putting the horse before the cart or the cart before the horse. Which one is it? One of those two. You're putting something in front of something else that shouldn't be put there. That
really rolls off the tongue,
doesn't it? English is my first language, by the way. I just want to make sure that's clear to everyone. That's a lot of pressure to live up to those lofty standards. But I mean, I don't think it's any secret that they're the guys that are going to be leading the charge into the future, right? I guess putting a label on it makes it a little bit more daunting, I guess. So while I think it's, I think everybody knew that was going to be the case. I don't think anyone was expecting the fact that the company would tweet out an official declaration that these are our guys for the future.
Well, I mean, I think we need to take this all the way back to the essence of storytelling, of crafting a compelling narrative. And most good stories, they do start with an inciting incident that sets up the conflict between the characters. And each of those characters have got their own motivations, whether that's something like King Lear announcing his inheritance plans, or King Robert Baratheon's death in a Game of Thrones, or something contemporary like Logan Roy, his succession plans. Right, so you have a storyteller who deliberately creates conflict to craft a dramatic narrative. Okay, so it's like what you said before. So, when King Lear decides to leave everything to his two deceitful daughters and nothing to the honest daughter, I'm not sure we would have had 17th century theatre goers wagging their fingers at Shakespeare saying, oh, shit move, Bill. This is going to put way too much on Goneril and Reagan. You've completely overlooked Cordelia. I think they appreciated that they were being told a story, and this exciting incident would ruffle the feathers of the characters and, begin an exciting tale full of fighting and backstabbing and power struggles. So when that tweet went out, pretty much the entire roster of New Japan wrestlers started burying it and arguing and taking shots at each other. Like, they are supposed to fight each other. That's why we're watching.
Right.
And I apologize to the listeners who do understand the fundamental concepts of fiction and the basics of professional wrestling. But it seems this went over a lot of people's heads, because I have actual humans on Twitter asking me if the announcement has backfired on New Japan. I'm not making this up. Absolute clown infrastructure going on around me. Let me spell it out for the smooth brains. They are deliberately doing something controversial to incite conflict. They've done it before. They remember what happened when they did it the last time with Tanahashi and Nakamura and Shibata, and they liked it when they were all fighting about it, because then people bought tickets to watch them fight about it, right. And then they got money because of that, and they like money. They enjoy exchanging the money for goods and services. So exactly like you said, Damon, right? One tweet in storyline, they've pissed off the dads, they've pissed off the anointed Reiwa Musketeers themselves, they've pissed off the other wrestlers of that generation who are not anointed, and they've also pissed off the classy young lions below them, they've pissed off the LA Dojo guys. This is not an accident. This is the kickoff point for the next decade of feuds, like you said. And I think part of the problem here is that American wrestling, yet again, has poisoned the well, because Tony Khan anointed his 4 pillars a couple of years ago, but did that completely at face value. And now a lot of viewers are, I think, unable to tell the difference between Tony Khan saying, these 4 guys are the future of my company, in a rather ham-fisted manner, and what I think is New Japan deliberately throwing a grenade through the window of the fireworks factory. Right. Most New Japan, Andrew sent this on the Discord, most New Japan tweets have got about 25,000 to 100,000 impressions. This tweet yesterday about the Three Musketeers got 5 million impressions.
Right.
And let's give full credit to Dragon Gate for coming up with the idea of anointing a generational group of wrestlers, because it's actually never been done before. And who knows what else New Japan have been stealing, because they also suspiciously have professional wrestlers battling each other for championships. Uh-oh. Is that a coincidence? Who's to say? I'm just asking questions, Damon. Now, my first reaction to seeing this Reiwa Musketeers announcement was, oh, great. This is setting the table for the massive Yuya Uemura comeback angle. That this is the guy who's been publicly complaining about New Japan, not booking him for months, in tweets to other New Japan contracted wrestlers, right? Let's be clear. That's on purpose. He's also a professional wrestler who tells stories of conflict to make us want to watch him. So, he can come back somewhere down the line with a massive chip on his shoulder, angry at New Japan for overlooking him, burying the Reiwa Musketeers for being frauds, and they can all argue over that and wrestle each other for the next 10 years and make lots of money. And funnily enough, Tokyo Sports, who basically the kayfabe voice of New Japan, were also asking, what about Yuya? Which makes you think. Let me reassure people, the company have not forgotten about Yuya. Him being given a send-off singles match against Okada, and you'll all remember he drop-kicked him on the way out. That wasn't a random accident, okay? The very next match on that show, this was Summer Struggle 2021, August the 1st, that was Yota Tsuji's send-off match against Tetsuya Naito. And that one looks like it's turning out all right, because here's the great thing, New Japan can choose who wrestles whom.
Yeah.
Yuya probably remembers that dropkick. There'll probably be some kind of professional wrestling storyline which builds on that. I mean, there's the possibility, maybe I'm just fantasy booking here. Maybe Yuya Uemura has indeed decided that actually, no, he doesn't want to be the next ace of New Japan. He really loves eating pizza. He loves working for Impact and reaping all the gold, the fortune, the riches that entails. And yeah, like New Japan letting their future star of the next decade just pull the plug on his excursion and work full-time for their subordinate US partner promotion could be an actual real thing that actually really happens, that people believe is an actual real event. Many such cases. We've got Gabe Kidd. He's a very vocal critic of this declaration. He says he's been main eventing before any of those three bitches debuted. Damon,
Yep.
He's in the same G1 Climax block as them. Say what?
What a coincidence.
I know, right? And I know, right, as a New Japan fan, I hold my hands up. I say, I often do the heavy lifting for these narratives and project things on them and fantasy books. So, yeah, there is a chance that New Japan just made this Three Musketeers announcement and expected all the wrestlers to say, yeah, cool, this is great. Good luck to those three lads, which backfired horribly. And them all being in the same G1 block with the other angry people is a complete coincidence. I guess we'll have to wait and see. David, why are people so fucking thick?
Yeah, it does. I don't envy you. Let's put it that way. I feel in my life I've done a great job of keeping a nice distance between me and that, because I would be jumping out a window. Yeah, I mean, trust me, I don't think somebody went rogue on New Japan's Twitter account and decided to just tweet that. I don't think that there was like a rogue marketing meeting saying, hey, you know what would be a great idea? Let's send out this tweet unbeknownst to anyone else in the company. Like,
oh no, they don't like it. They're all arguing. They're fighting. Oh God, what have we done?
Right.
Pro wrestling is supposed to be about friendship and support and loving each other.
Yes. Of course it is. But here we are. Well, here you are, because I'm very fortunate in the fact that I am not privy to any of that. Because it is amazing. It's amazing what people get into and watch and become passionate about, and yet really have no fucking idea what the hell they're looking at. It's and it goes both ways. I was fortunate enough, speaking of smooth brain takes, I was fortunate enough to catch wind of a person who we said we would never talk about anymore on this show. And that was...
Oh, God, you're not going to be talking about Kota Ibushi going to Glate, are you?
No. I heard a review of Forbidden Door. And I just wanted to put my hands in my head and just say, wow, you probably shouldn't be reviewing something you know nothing about. like absolute nothing. Just because you're a jazz connoisseur doesn't mean you should be commenting about country music. Just stay in your fucking lane. Whoo-wee. I'm talking about you know who, Joel. It was a absolute fucking laughable rundown of Forbidden Door and New Japan in general. Just it was nearly embarrassing listening to this review. But listen, all the smart people, all the people in the know, all the people that know where it's at, you have a safe space right here, because we're going to give you the goods from people who actually watch the product. So here you go. Here's where we are.
I never thought I would say thank you to Elon Musk, but I've been locked out of Twitter because it says I have exceeded my rate limit. So thank you, Elon, for saving me from absolute hellhole there. So there we go. Good guy, Elon Musk. Top bloke. Right. Louis says, with the new Musketeers announced, do you think it's a shoot or work? Do they tell the wrestlers before the announcement? And Antonio, the first of his many, many questions, says, my first question is this: focus on the new Reiwa Musketeers thing. Do you guys think revive NJPW to where it was during Elite to where is something is more hotter, or it will stay like now forever, kind of how Tanahashi, Nakamura, etc. helped revive NJPW from Inokiism days. Look, I don't think it matters. I think them actually putting the label on Tsuji and Umino and Narita is besides the point, really. It's not the fact that they've said these are the Three Musketeers. I think it's about the effect it's going to have on the entire roster. And like I said, the next 10 years of storytelling. So I think if you're just focusing on those three wrestlers, you're kind of missing the point.
Right. Like 1,000%. Once again, and here's the thing too. This, quite honestly, is either going to be completely meaningless to a Western audience, or it will be the hopefully the resurgence of New Japan Pro Wrestling in the West, right? I'm leaning more toward, I don't think it's going to matter one bit, that announcement, to New Japan fans across the world, except maybe Japan, right? This announcement is not going to now have New Japan Pro Wrestling selling out MetLife Stadium. Okay, this is not what we're talking about. Now, could this be part of a very long-term storyline in which these gentlemen and all the future stars of New Japan Pro Wrestling that will lead us into the future, will this be a catalyst to help take off, relaunch? Possibly. I think it's a safe assumption, Joel, that this is where New Japan Pro Wrestling are putting their chips. Will it work or not? We don't know. Let's see. Let's see what happens. But these are the guys, and again, it's no secret, these are the guys that moving forward, the company is leaning on to be those stars. And I think it's a wait and see kind of thing, because we are in the absolute infancy of their growth and their contributions to the company. When they start headlining bigger shows, when they start being the true focal point, and major championships are won based off of this little announcement, then we'll see. How does it impact business? How does it impact interest? How does it impact sales? How does it impact subscriptions? All of that, right, is still...
How does it impact impact?
Exactly right. That these are all things yet to be determined. So there you go.
Do you reckon they gave the wrestlers a heads up before they sent that? They were just like, okay, we're going to send this out, riff on it, respond to it. Because the way that so many of their wrestlers were immediately replying to it and quote retweeting it did make me think that
maybe
that could have been the case.
Maybe. But I will say this, New Japan does not have the best reputation of communicating those type of things to their wrestlers. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people working not only within the company, but, maybe we'll call them freelancers, where they literally show up and have no idea what the fuck's going on. Now, I
love the idea of Tsuji just checking his phone, like, I'm a what now?
Right? Trust me, I would not be surprised if that were the case. I would hope that there was some clue as to that coming out. But if you told me that none of the wrestlers had any fucking idea this was happening, I wouldn't have a hard time believing you. Let's put it that way.
I would like your thoughts on Yuya. Pommy Wrestling says, do you think Yuya Uemura returning to Japan before next year's Wrestle Kingdom? And if so, who would you have him face in his first singles match? Do you think Uemura is returning at all, Damon?
Yes. Before Wrestle Kingdom? I would say probably. I'll give you a probably.
Because he's been on excursion, he went off excursion at the same time as Tsuji. Mm-hmm. And from what I hear from Garrett Kidney, who is the premier authority on Impact Wrestling. He's having a really good, really solid excursion, doing pretty much everything that you'd want from an excursion there. Wrestling different kinds of matches, different lengths of matches against different people. So all boxes tick there in terms of what you'd expect from an excursion. But again, he has very deliberately been kept away from this sort of tinderbox of guys arguing and fighting, and particularly for this G1 Climax and this A block. So that's not for nothing, as you would say, Damon. They're keeping him separate from all that with what I believe is an intention to debut him later to be able to look upon the wreckage of that and, be the proverbial feast for crows. So I don't know when that will be. I would love to see it before Wrestle Kingdom. I would love to see it in front of a noisy crowd, hot event, hot venue, maybe the Destruction show at Sumo Hall, the one that used to be King of Pro Wrestling, or maybe Power Struggle at the Edion Arena in Osaka. That's usually a very noisy crowd. So I would think something like that. And it's hard for me to look past Okada being in the mix somewhere, just by the way that Uemura was sent out on an excursion. Because, again, to refresh listeners' memory, if you didn't see it, he had a singles match with Okada. Okada beat him, and then Okada lifted him up, had his arm around the shoulder, saying, "Hey, good job, kids." Then Irish whipped him into the ropes and drop kicked him in the teeth, just to, for good measure, to send him packing before his excursion. So I figure that will play into his comeback somehow. But yeah, I mean, the promo writes itself, doesn't it, for Uemura, where he's saying to people like Tsuji, and Narita and Umino, like, what have you guys achieved? Between the three of you, you've managed to achieve one never open-weight six-man reign. That's pathetic. You're not musketeers. You're embarrassments. You're frauds. Blah 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 blah. And then he's your next guy. He's the Rocket Pack.
Yep. What about? Do you think this is too early, mind you? But he might make a really nice title defense for the briefcase defense, so to speak, for the G1 winner.
Yeah, possibly, but I'm loath to say that New Japan should or would repeat the Rainmaker shock, but
that was once in a lifetime, man.
I think, I really do think Uemura is an exceptional talent. So that sort of blueprint of coming in and basically just winning. Like, I know typically in recent history, New Japan has had their re-debuting young lions, even ones with like a huge path to stardom, like a Jay White. They lose their first match.
Yep.
That's just what they do. So I wouldn't be stunned if that's what happens. Maybe Uemura comes back at Power Struggle, attacks a singles title holder, whoever it might be, or maybe not a title holder, just having some sort of prominent singles match at Wrestle Kingdom, and maybe losing that would be the safe New Japan play. But I feel that things are going to be different with him.
Wouldn't it be great if they did flip the script and they said, okay, and again, I'll just use the G1 final as the catalyst here. So he comes back G1 final, attacks the winner of said tournament, challenges for the briefcase. They have the match. He wins the briefcase and goes on to Wrestle Kingdom. Wins the title. I mean, just go total fucking jetpack. I mean, the likelihood of that happening, I think, is less than zero. But
we've said that about a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think all bets are off, really. This is 2023 New Japan. Let's get wild.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're right. So, as I say it, it's not that preposterous, right? It's not that fucking crazy. Do I think they'll do it? Again, I think it's less than zero. But, you're right. It's 2023. And I feel like there have been things in the past 3 years that have been, what's happening, those kind of things. So, yeah, if 2023 is the year of wackiness, let's lean into it. Let's fucking go for it. And you're instantly putting this guy on the short track to leading the company. Because here's the thing. The guys that we have on top now, and we know who we're talking about. Your Tanahashis, your Naitos, your all those. They're not going to be around much longer at the top, right? I think we all can agree with that.
I don't even know if they are at the top.
Right.
I mean, look at the way that they've been booked recently. I mean, Okada is a never openweight 6-man title holder. So is Tanahashi, for that matter. Naito's not holding anything. He's not really prominently booked in storyline anyway. There's a huge power vacuum there.
There is, but it's also not only where you are in the card, Joel. There's a lot to do with the perception people have of who are the stars, and that takes time.
Who's on the posters? Who's on the merchandise? Blah blah blah.
Yep. And who's again the face of, right? And for many years, it's been Okada, Tanahashi, to a certain degree, Shibata, to a certain degree, Naito, certain degree, Jay White at one point, right? I think that by doing something like that, what do I always say? I always say the hardest thing to do is to take a guy who's middle of the road and turn them into a star, because you got to change the perception. You got to re-educate people as to I mean, that was the biggest challenge, like with a guy like Taichi. Like Taichi was absolutely, like, people just fucking couldn't stand watching him. And then slowly change perception. One way to change perception quickly is to do something like I just outlined. And to me, Okada is one of those guys that you could say they did that with. I mean, when they gave the belt to AJ, to a certain degree, that was like, okay, instantly going right all in. So it's not like they haven't done that in modern times. They could do it again. Like, if we're serious about this, we could absolutely do that again. So to kind of put this in a bow, do I see him coming back this year? I kind of do. I do. And that's how I would do it.
Yeah, I do like your idea of his return throwing like a massive fucking wrench into the top of the Wrestle Kingdom card.
Yep.
So, yeah, exciting time to watch this space. By the time you're hearing this, he will have declared a full-time Impact superstar. Never set foot in Japan again.
Him Moose going at it for the 50th
time. Okay, here's another little news tidbit before we get into Forbidden Door. Noah director Takeda, there was an interview with him last week, and here's a quote. Now, bear in mind, he spoke in Japanese, so this is a translated quote, so there could be a fair amount of nuance and context that's lost here, but this is the English translation that was tweeted out by Metal Noah, so that's at Metal0515 on Twitter. Here's the quote. G1 is a tournament that attracts attention from all over the world. Kiyomiya is a good wrestler, but he's not a wrestler who fights only in Noah and is watched only by Noah fans. Yes, the main reason is to make Kiyomiya more famous. If the venue had been packed with fans who wanted to see Kiyomiya, we would not have lent him to G1. Sadly, it's not. But we're not trying to run a small ramen restaurant where only regulars come. Our goal is to be at the top, so we make a decision. Now, when I read that, I was like, you fucking what? What did you just say about your supposed ace there? And again, I know some people have said that maybe there's a bit of nuance to this that's been lost, and maybe in the native Japanese it doesn't sound as harsh as it does with the English translation. But all the same, taking this at face value, Stuart says, do you think New Japan is poaching Kiyomiya after that interview with the Noah president? And Antonio says, thoughts on Noah director burying Kaito Kiyomiya in public. Do you guys think Kiyomiya will be Noah OG for life? Or do you guys see him going to New Japan full-time like Shingo Ishimori in the future? Thoughts?
Look, that is a crazy thing to say. I mean, that in essence is saying, if you're talking about like football, imagine the post-match presser, and he says something like that about a star player. Either the coach is gone or the handwriting's on the wall with the player being gone. Like to me, that feels like the complete opposite of the New Japan tweet, right? Like I don't see an upside of anyone saying anything like that. Is he going New Japan? I mean, look, if the company's head, the chairman, you say, is saying things like that in the press, how comfortable are you as a pro wrestler working in that company long term? I would be, my resume would be out. I would be on Indeed immediately, because it's, I don't know. I don't know how else you would take that. So is he going New Japan? I don't know, but I would go anywhere else at that point. Like, what? Like, he's going to go back into the locker room with that out in the open? I'd be like, what the fuck? So, look, stranger things have happened. I would not, but when I read that, I was like, he's gone. He's got to be gone. How would you go back? Why would you go back? And again, taking into consideration the translation. Again, maybe things do get lost in translation, just like the movie. It was a wacky thing to say. Like, I don't know of any benefit to Noah, to anyone, with that being said. I don't understand. Like, I don't know how you turn, this guy can't draw, and so we're going to lend him out to New Japan because he can't put fucking asses in seats for us. I don't know how you turn that into a pro wrestling angle. I really don't.
Well, let me tie all this together and ask you, Damon. Now, we've talked about the Three Musketeers who don't want to be Musketeers and they're taking shots at each other, and Gabe Kidd, who says that they're all shit and the real Three Musketeers are him and Coughlin and Connors. And now we've got our IWGP World Heavyweight Champion in there, who everyone is calling a fraud and she doesn't deserve to be there. Plus this outsider failed ace who's been buried by his own director. How excited are you for A Block in the Grade 1 Climax?
Let me tell you something. I think I'm excited because we have not only what you just outlined, but at the crux of it, we have a
Chase Owens and Hikuleo.
Fine. Look, you don't think Chase Owens is going to have his working boots on? Like, everyone in that block is, well, not everyone, but a lot of them. We have young and hungry pro wrestlers that are going to try to make a mark. I don't think there's anything more exciting than that. Like, to me, that fresh matchups with internal struggle within the company, with this Musketeers tweet, I'm pumped. I can't wait for fucking G1 to start. I can't believe it's here. I cannot wait for it to start.
Me too, man. This is... How long have we got until... When does G1 start?
I think it's like a week, right?
Middle of July?
Yeah, right?
Let me check.
Right after the 4th.
Yeah, July 15th.
Yeah.
Got 2 weeks. 2 weeks away.
All right.
I can hardly wait. Okay, let's get into some ice cold takes about Forbidden Door 2. So, what order would you like to go, Damon? Do you want to work backwards from the main event down the card, or should we do chronological order?
Let's go top to bottom. Only because I think the majority of people want to hear our takes for the top 2 matches, and then we can work our way down and talk about the other stuff. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Well, The main event then was a special singles match with Bryan Danielson defeating Kazuchika Okada in 27 minutes via submission. I didn't really like this one that much, Damon.
Yeah.
I know it might be heresy to say it, but the chemistry wasn't quite there, and it had been hyped up to such a degree. Plus, following, not directly following, but following, the seventh match, that Omega Osprey match, where they did all of the things. This one just kind of fell a bit flat for me. I was expecting more, and knowing at the end that, first of all, the finishing sequence was pretty cool with him sort of chaining together all those submissions, but it's nothing we have not seen Zack Sabre Jr. do before. And maybe this is just me, but knowing afterwards and seeing afterwards Danielson saying that he had a broken arm 10 minutes into the match, the optics of that, having your biggest star, Okada, getting beaten by a one-armed man, I don't really know how that sits with me. And I'm not saying that they should have called an audible, that he should have, self-diagnosed and think, I think my arm's broken, quick, you need to go over instead. But maybe don't broadcast that immediately afterwards, saying, I broke my arm 10 minutes into this.
Right.
Because then rewatching it, it's like your top guy is getting clowned by a guy who can, barely lift his left arm or right arm or whatever it was. Maybe keep that quiet or say, Okada was so tough. He was trying to power out of that last submission so hard he broke my arm. What a tough bastard he is.
Right.
Rather than declaring that you were basically handicapped and crippled for half of the match. So that just might be a weird hang up on my part. But I found this one a bit disappointing.
Yeah, that's a good point you brought up. That quite honestly, I didn't consider that. So yes, that is a valid point, I think. What do you think of the idea of them actually calling an audible? And because I had heard some rumblings that they were going to go much longer than that, shockingly, on a show that was like fucking half a day, that they were actually going to go longer. Look, I got to give credit where credit is due in the sense that I stubbed my toe and I'm not getting off the couch for a week. He's got a shattered forearm and he's working like another 15 minutes. The match itself is hard for me to judge, and I tried to judge it pre-injury, right? Because I just feel like anything after is icing on cake. The guy's working with a fucking broken arm. But it's 10 minutes, like if he broke his arm 10 minutes in, what the fuck could they accomplish besides awesome ring entrances and, everybody hyped up to that they can't believe what's in the ring in front of their eyeballs. So I feel kind of, I think it's unfair for me to sit here and be like, that was a great match. I think this was a different match than what they had planned. I really do. And I could be dead wrong, but I feel like there was other things. Now, is the finish itself what they were going to do from the jump? I don't know. It does seem really weird. But if that was the plan, that was the plan. I think I'd like to think that an audible was called and everyone in the ring was a professional and got through it. But yeah, I was surprised by the tap out. I was surprised in how quickly it felt. And I do feel like it was kind of just plopped in the middle of the match so that there would be a finish to a match as opposed to a main event that everyone was clamoring for and a referee holding up the old X sign and that be that.
Yeah, because the crowd were not biting on those submission near falls. Like, they haven't been conditioned for that. For the main event of a big US show, the crowd are expecting, signature moves and the classic finishes and everything, and the Rainmaker and whatever it is Danielson does. I don't know what his finishing move is. But the crowd were not expecting that to come, and it very much came out of the blue. So Matt writes in and says, did you guys get the feeling there will be another Danielson-Okada match? Something felt so odd with the match. Could it just be Danielson's injury? Flynn says, do you think we're getting Okada versus Danielson in the Dome? Can't imagine they'd have Okada lose without a payoff in Japan. So, yeah, I do think they absolutely have a better match in them. You would hope so, considering most of it was wrestled with one of the guys with only one functioning arm. So, yeah, I could absolutely see a rematch at the Tokyo Dome, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have been surprised if you told me that there would have been a rematch in Wembley. Obviously, that's would be put on the shelf for right now. And if he can return in 6 months to wrestle, I don't know what the healing time would be on something like that. But
I think he said 6 to 8 weeks, so that wouldn't necessarily rule him out of Wembley, which is August 27th. So, yeah, I think there's a fair chance he's back for Wembley.
Wow.
But
I mean, here's a guy that's had a lot of fucking injuries. You know what I mean? Like, to be able to bounce back that quickly, I would be shocked, quite honestly. But pro wrestlers are a different breed. Yeah, I mean, I think I think if I'm a betting man, I would say it's a 95% chance we're seeing a rematch.
Right, 8th match then was the 6-man tag match with Tetsuya Naito, Darby Allin, and Sting defeating Sammy Guevara, Minoru Suzuki, and Chris Jericho. Naito got a extremely sloppy pin over Suzuki with his jackknife hold, 15 minutes and 9 seconds. What have we got? Oh, yeah, Flynn says, well done for calling Naito, wouldn't even bother taking his t-shirt off. I saw this funny thing on Reddit. It's a little image with a picture of Naito, and it says, arrive, get 100 times better introduction than any other NJPW wrestler, treat Forbidden Door like a Road 2 show, wrestle whole match in a t-shirt, have a 64-year-old man taking all the big bumps, don't even do Destino, too complicated and requires taking a bump, win via roll-up, leave as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And those are my thoughts on the match. I love Tetsuya Naito very, very much.
I loved it. It's, I mean, it did feel like everyone involved. No, what it felt like? It felt like, okay, guys, we have 15 minutes or 20 minutes for this match, and we'll work it out. And then as they're going through the curtain, Tony Khan is yelling through the headset, 10 minutes! Or something. You know, they had a fucking... Nobody gave a fuck. I love the idea and the concept of, well, you can't follow certain matches. And you know what? You can follow certain matches. You absolutely can. If you wanted to. We've seen it numerous times in big events where the semi-main event was fucking awesome, and you're like, how the fuck are they going to top that? And it gets topped. Now, is this match geared to do that? No, but it could have been a ton better. Yeah,
I'm imagining Naito backstage watching the match between Osprey and Omega. He sees Osprey literally drop Omega on his head, and then he sees that, and then puts his t-shirt back on. And he's just like, "Oh fuck!"
That would be far from the truth, I would gather. Or either that, or he finally comes to the arena halfway through the match, halfway through Osprey and Omega, and just kind of walks to the back and then walks through the curtain and then leaves just as quickly. He's double parked outside. It was look. We had a lot of we'll call them veterans in this match that I don't know. Like, it was not a feeling of let's put forth all the effort we can here. It was something, that's for sure. Like, it was like, to me, if I'm Tony Khan, would you even have this match at this point? Like, wouldn't you just be like, okay, let's, guys, we got to bump you? Like, and that's what this show felt like. It felt like, let's get as many people as we can on a fucking show, and let's just get as many people as we can on the show. That's what if
I think we need to get rid of this fallacy of having the buffer match, right? We don't
Right.
need a come down match between. Like I always use as an example Wrestle Kingdom 11, where they went. The back end of that was Kushida versus Hiromu, then Goto Shibata, then Naito Tanahashi, then Okada Omega.
Yeah.
And they escalated in stakes and drama and quality, and the fans were not tired. They were not burnt out by the end of that. And I remember at the time people watching Tanahashi Naito thinking, oh, there's no way Okada and Omega can follow that.
And boom.
If it's good enough, it will do the job.
Yes.
So I would like to see people... the people like Tony Khan be a bit more bold in the way he is structuring his events.
Right. And I think the structure of the event, that was piss poor. Like, listen, I don't think there was anyone in that fucking building that thought Kenny and Will were not the main event. Like, how do you put that match anywhere other than closing out the show? Because... like, I will say this: you are right, and I subscribe to that 1,000%. But after Kenny and Will do everything that they did, like they did everything and the kitchen sink. Like, if I'm a wrestler, like what the fuck do I have to do? I have to light myself on fire? You know what I mean? Like, what to get a crowd reaction? How am I going to get a crowd reaction? And again, it can be done. Obviously, you as you mentioned, that example fits perfectly into that. But you got a bunch of 60, 50-year-olds just, they can't do the physical feats that Kenny and Will can. Like, why would you put that match there? Just, I don't know. That kind of was laughable to me because it was just, it was a no-win situation.
Yeah, agreed. All right, then let's go to the seventh match, which was the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship match, where the challenger Will Osprey defeated the champion Kenny Omega to win back the US Heavyweight Championship match, 39 minutes 50 seconds via Stormbreaker. I would like you to share your thoughts first, please, David.
Okay. I thought this match was one of the most thrilling and amazing spectacles of pro wrestling I've ever seen. Like, they did shit that I did not think was humanly possible. Look, if you're looking for Steamboat and Flair, this ain't it, right? So if that's your definition of what pro wrestling should be, and that is the standard of what pro wrestling should be, this was not it. That being said, it is not 1989. It is 2023. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jill. 2023. The idea that they're going to grab a hold and work an arm or any of that. If you thought that going in, I don't know what you've been watching for the past 5 years, 10 years, maybe. This was a perfect snapshot of what the best of modern pro wrestling is. It really is. This is it. This is the top. Now, there are influences from what they've experienced and watched before and in the past. The spots were numerous. I mean, everybody's talking about the Tiger Driver, but even Kenny kicking out of a one-winged angel at one, and
not just that, it was a Kamigoye followed by one-winged angel.
Right. Look, that's where we are. Like, people kick out of big moves, and I hate to break the bad news, the majority of people really enjoy it because that building would not have been sold if they didn't, right? And I don't think anybody walked out of that building thinking, oh, he didn't sell enough, or oh, he kicked out of big spot. Like, that's pro wrestling now. You're going to have to get over that. The second point is this. Will Osprey, like, is there any doubt in anyone's mind that he is the best pro wrestler in the world right now? Like, and again, please alter your thinking a little bit. You're not in 1989. Okay. So if you think, Brad Armstrong or Tim Horner or I don't know who, that's pro wrestling, Greg Gagne, you're going to be sadly disappointed at the state of where we are in pro wrestling. To me, I like this. I enjoy this a ton. Is it danger? Like, here we go with the dangerous thing. Like, both those guys walked out of that ring, bumped and bruised, sure, but in pro wrestling, that's what happens. Have they shaved years off of their career? Of course, right? Just like any athlete, right? Do you think hockey players don't shave years off their lives doing things, hustling a little bit, maybe more than they should have, or football players or whomever, athletes in general? Like, Bryan Danielson broke his arm, on a relatively simple spot,
Yeah, the most dangerous move on this show, by outcome at least, was the elbow drop, because one went straight into CM Punk's dick and the other one broke Danielson's arm.
Right. Which is funny. Well, I'm sure we will talk about, because that's right up our alley. But it's, I like the worry police. I laugh at. I'm just like, they're going to do what they're going to do. And that's not for nothing. That's what you paid for. Like, did you think you were going to get a fucking 8-minute working the arm spot? Did you think you were going to get, working a headlock for 20 minutes? Come on. You knew what you were getting. You wanted that. Like, you wanted that. And once again, they're athletes, they're professionals, they can do what they want if they feel the need. That being said, I did like the Tokyo Dome match a little bit better, but look, I got no complaints about this match. I thought this match was fucking thrilling, and I'm not going to nitpick over, the lack of selling and the kicking out of big moves. It's just, that's where we are.
Did the Don Callis involvement affect your enjoyment of the match?
I just thought it was kind of preposterous in the sense that the referee kicks him out of ringside, sends him to the back, and then he just casually walks back. like, oh, okay. And the referee even saw him and acknowledged him. Like, I'm like, that makes no sense. I mean, either kick him out or don't kick him out. You're like, what was the point of kicking him out if he's just able to walk right back in? Oh, that was funny. Truth be told, I wish there wasn't that involvement. I understand why they're trying to prolong a storyline. I get it. But yeah, what I would have rather have seen him not involved in the match in any form, and a screwdriver to the head not being a part of the match. Yeah. Yes, I would have, but okay. I don't think that this diminishes my enjoyment of the match. It really didn't.
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought it was a spectacular match, but I didn't enjoy it as much as the Tokyo Dome one. I liked the presentation, like with both guys coming out to their old themes. But for me, the whole feud now revolving around Don Callis was unfortunate. But I mean, the actual self-contained narrative of the actual interactions between Osprey and Omega made sense, because Omega basically beat the shit out of Osprey at the Tokyo Dome. So Osprey came in with this sort of single-minded, violent mentality to destroy Kenny Omega. So it made sense, everything that Osprey was doing to Omega. And I got to respect the sheer audacity of Osprey, like the sicko shit he was doing, like licking the blood off his arm, the Shawn Michaels Canada flag tribute spots, and locking on the crippler crossface on the anniversary of the fucking Benoit murder-suicide, no less. That was a choice.
Yeah.
So I respect the audacity of it, if nothing else. So yeah, like they did everything. They did all of the wrestling here, and I kind of felt it was sort of too much. By the end of it, I was just like, oh Jesus! Like I preferred the Tokyo Dome match just as a sort of little self-contained thing there. I thought that was close to perfect, and for me, and the level of violence that I like to see in a pro wrestling match, so yeah, I mean, this match was fantastic to watch and really fun, but I also preferred the Tokyo Dome one. But let me ask you a question from Flynn. He says, what is your thoughts on the follow-up to Will versus Omega? Why is Kenny saying the better man won when Will hit him with the screwdriver? It's like they're just trying to move on now without Will getting a clean win, which is really annoying. Feels like the hottest match in wrestling was a side story to the Omega Callis thing. It did seem from the post-match comments that they both moved on from this.
There's money to be made with it. I don't. Maybe in the short term they're moving on with it, but like they would be really foolish to leave money on the table with that match. I think it. You got both guys with one win. Okay, we still haven't determined who's the best. Let's do that. Look, the screwdriver spot. I mean, he tried every pro wrestling move to put on. Why not use a screwdriver? Like to me, this was a Western pro wrestling match, and I think the Tokyo Dome. I mean, aside from no kidding, Damon, fucking, it was in Tokyo. Of course, it was a joke, but you know what I mean. Like I felt like this match was geared more toward that kind of kick out on big move things that you see a ton on US based Western shows, and maybe not so much in Japan. And I don't have a problem with it. Like I just don't have a problem with that. Was it? Look, I had somebody tell me I couldn't watch the end of it because my kid was laughing at the absolute like the idea of everyone kicking out of everything. like a non-wrestling fan watching that, they're going to be like, I mean, what is he going to do? Shoot him to fucking pin him? I get that, but this show was not about that. This show was not about anything. This show was not about anything other than guys and young ladies like us that will masturbate to the loveliness and the art of pro wrestling with dream matches that we never thought we would get. That's what these shows are. This is it's kind of like, I hate to use this analogy, but this is a meeting of the juggalos, but for geeky pro wrestling fans. If you're listening to my voice right now, I'm going to let you know something. And maybe your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whomever doesn't have the guts to tell you, you're a fucking geek. All right? If you're listening to this, a review on a show that you watched. So, but that's fine. Like that's why this is here, to let you live your lives and yet have this to kind of fall back on to get that geekiness out. Right? That's what the show was.
Right, so the sixth match was the AEW Women's World Championship match. Toni Storm beat Willow Nightingale. I do want to talk a bit about Willow Nightingale, but I will save that for our preview of the Independence Day shows. Any thoughts on this one, or should we move on?
No. Look, I think Toni Storm is really good. I really do. I think everything about her is like she, to me, like a feud with her and Monet would be fantastic, I think. Willow Nightingale, I like a lot. I think someone who it might be a struggle in the sense of, does she have the name recognition that she should by holding that championship? I think probably 1/3 of the audience knew who she was. And that's saying something. That's a hardcore audience. But I think the match was fine. I mean, I don't know if there's anything that I would be like, oh, okay, that absolutely stood out as the spot of the night. Of course not. But I thought the match was fine for. I don't want to say where it was placed, but look, let's be brutally honest. If we're cutting any match, it's probably going to be that, right? Or one of the many multi 6-man tags that we were honored enough to see. Look, I know I'm getting old, but I was really tired by the end of this. And I watched this in the middle of the fucking day. It was just, I couldn't believe it was still going on. Like, it was a long, between like the pre-show and the actual show. I don't know what it was, man, but I felt like I could not believe the show was still going on at certain points. And if I was going to cut any match, it would probably be this one would more than likely lead the list. And that's not saying it was a bad match. It was just too much.
I don't think you can cut the Women's World Championship match. I think that would have been really bad optics.
Of course it would.
I think it would have.
Of course it would. Yes, yes. Optic wise, terrible. But on a show where we had just countless of things that look, I don't know if anyone would have been upset if they cut any one of the multi-man tags, right? Would people be upset if they cut that match? Yes, probably. And I get it. I hear their voices. I understand that. I'm just looking for places to cut down. And I don't know if the New Japan Women's Strong title is that important to this show that it's untouchable to be cut. Something had to be cut, Joel. Would you agree with that?
I'm just scrolling through the card. I think if I were to cut anything, it would have been that 8th match, the Naito 6-man tag.
Yeah, absolutely.
That got 15 minutes, and yeah, that would have been first on the chopping block for me.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. How many people after this show talked about that particular match? I don't think anybody remembers it. Do you?
No. I mean, I take your point. It was one of the less remarkable matches, but I think it was important that it was there. So I will defend the importance and significance of having this match, even if I don't have any analysis of the match itself to offer.
Right. So, right. You see my point? Like, okay. All right. Now, wait. Is that...
It was good. It was fine. They're both good wrestlers.
Yes.
It was a good match. For 10 minutes, like, what do you want?
Yeah.
What do you want from me?
Right. Okay. But in the same breath, there were a lot of good wrestlers in that multi-man tag that I would have said, we're cutting you. Like, I'm not saying cut them because they're women and it's a women's match. By no stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying, I'm willing to cut out Jericho and Suzuki and Naito. And I'm willing to say, off the card. we're short on time, and I think if I'm going to say that, then yeah, why not this? Because of all the reasons that I laid out, that people tend to agree with. Why not? Okay, but I understand the optics. I understand all that, but okay, it was a long show, Joel.
Right, fifth match. I really enjoyed this one, actually. The 10-man tag match with Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, Hangman Page, Tomohiro Ishii, and Eddie Kingston, beating the Blackpool Combat Club, John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Wheeler Yuta, plus Konosuke Takeshita and Shota Umino. So, yeah, this was a lot of fun. I liked Mox using his New Japan theme, and I think Blackpool Combat Club looked really cool. They looked like a pack of badasses. And it was quite unfortunate in this match having Takeshita next to Shota Umino, because it made Umino look like even more of a dork, because Takeshita looks really cool. He's big, he's muscular, he's got his leather trench coat and the swagger and the man bun. That is what Shota should be doing. I mean, I don't think Shota would be able to pull it off, to be honest, but I thought Takeshita looked like $1 million here, especially squaring off against Ishii, which made him look like a giant. And one of my favourite spots of the entire show was that forearm spot where he just absolute beast shit. He looked like he knocked Ishii into another dimension. So, yeah, I thought he stole Shota's lunch here, to be honest, although he does need to learn where the hard cam is. But, yeah, just a lot of fun. Kingston and Mox doing their chop battle while everyone else is flying around them off the top rope. That was very funny. It was very stupid when Eddie Kingston pushed Mox out of the way of the super kicks. That took me out of the match a bit. But, yeah, about what I expected. Big spot fest at the end. Not my favourite kind of match, but a really fun watch. And interesting that they had Ishii pick up the pinfall, because, I mean, if you're going to do it anywhere, do it in the States where people are going to appreciate it a bit more. So, yeah, lots of fun.
Yeah, it was a car crash match that had a lot of those spotty elements, right? Everybody had to get their shit in. Yeah, I think AEW right now is in like such a weird fucking place, in the sense that we have 2 TV shows. Well, they have more of that, but okay, we'll just say 2 TV shows where they have to separate certain parties from other parties because either they don't get along, or there's heat, or we're throwing fists, whatever the case may be. But in the same breath, like, they both, and I'm talking about Punk, obviously, and the Bucks and all that, they both bring an element and a dynamic to the company. And this is from an outsider looking in, mind you. They both bring an element that they acknowledge the problem. They acknowledge the fact that we did this to appease both parties. And yet there is this, I don't know, like one-upsmanship, or this dynamic that has been built like a fucking powder keg. I'm waiting for the shoe to fucking drop, because how can a company like maintain itself when you have this level of infighting? It's amazing to me. Like, it feels like WCW, on its last legs. It really does. Like, what is going on? Now, again, that being said, I think, like, what the Bucks bring to the table is, once again, U.S. pro wrestling, where we are. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get spots and goofiness and just stuff that is fast-paced and moving, and away we go. That's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It is a good thing, because to a person, I think the majority of people felt exactly the way that you did. And me too. I felt the same way. Like, I'm sorry. If that makes me a terrible pro wrestling fan, and trust me, I think the majority, I've been watching this shit longer than you have. I enjoy this. Like this, like if anything, watching this, it's not boring. It's actually fun, right? People enjoy it. It's good. That's what this is all about. So I like the match. Did I like Kingston and the finish? And I had to be scratching my head. Obviously, we're booking for something else, but it was just like this was the fun match to me. Like this was the let's just watch the fucking spectacle, and that's good. You need that in pro wrestling, and I feel like that's what it was.
Fourth match was the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match with Sanada getting in a successful defense against the challenger Jack Perry in 10 minutes 49 seconds with the rounding body press. I did fear the worst for this at the start with the red shoes chants, because that's exactly the sort of shit a US crowd will do to sabotage a match. Yeah. But they got back on board. So Sanada ditching the Paradise Lock for the most part with his new reinvention of his character, only to bring it back in the most egregious, disrespectful way possible. I thought it was a great touch. I think it fit his pre-match comments. He was completely dismissive of Jack Perry, and this is how it played out here. Like, it was a decent match. They kept it relatively simple. We've seen much better from Sanada in New Japan, and it wasn't booked to be an epic. It was booked to be a very comfortable win for Sanada. He didn't even use the deadfall, which I think was the correct move, because the story is Perry is not at Sanada's level. And so as a result, Sanada just turned in like a 2019 Sanada Night 8 G1 third match from the top performance, and I applaud that. That was the correct thing to do. But at the end, this was a vehicle for the Perry turn, and Sanada absolutely telegraphed that by sprinting out of the ring as soon as the match was over. But good booking all rounds. You know, Sanada gets the dominant win, absolutely phones it in, and beats Perry with no trouble whatsoever, and that's the catalyst for Jack Perry to have his heel turn. I thought, actually, just as a side note, Taz did a very good job in putting over the fact that he wanted to get involved to help his boy Hook, but he didn't. But yeah, this was fine.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know Hook was at ringside. I had no idea until the turn. And then they had to turn away. Like, I guess they were trying to throw it to some video package or something. And then they had to go back to the ring, or to the ramp for the angle that hadn't occurred yet. But okay. I look, I understand we want to put our world champion on a show. We're in the middle of the card, right? In a defense that, quite honestly, it didn't feel like anyone took seriously. You know what? I'm going to change my mind. I want to keep the women's title match, and I'll lose this. Right? Here's the problem.
Okay. Let me reboot this. Let's fantasy book this. They have the match, but 3 minutes into it, Sanada slaps on the Paradise Lock and just leaves. Just leaves the arena.
Right. Do you know how much I hate the Paradise Lock? And I hate the fact that there are people that have to put that over as some kind of crazy, wacky. Look.
It worked here. It worked in this spot because it made Jack Perry look like a geek.
Yes. Okay.
It was intentionally disrespectful.
I hate
it. Was showed that Sanada's not taking his opponent seriously.
Okay, fine. Why are we having this? Then how did he get a title shot? Like, exactly right. You know, that's what he was complaining about.
That's the point. Yeah. That's the whole point. Sanada said they should have got one, so it works. Right.
Can I
proved his point.
Do you think Sanada, like, who was the New Japan guy that walked away from this show better than going in? Right. Thank you. That's exactly my point. That sigh, that just complete frustrating release of air. Yes, that's exactly right.
Ishii,
really
push for this young up and comer picking up the pinfall there.
Really? Oh, because I don't think I'm really hard pressed to be like, okay, this guy came out looking better than he was. And here's the thing: is Osprey the New Japan guy? Okay, right? Okay.
Well, I tell you what, it's going to look extremely funny when the most prominent win New Japan gets on this card ends up with a guy who signs for AEW next year. So
Seriously,
watch this space.
Seriously, I mean, did you feel a little bit like Noah? I kind of did. I kind of felt a little Noah-ish.
Yeah, I don't think New Japan got fucked or anything here. I thought they did all right. They did probably a bit better than I was expecting. So I'm not going to be like, oh, Tony Khan screwed us again. But yeah, I mean, we know what's up. Yeah. We know where the power dynamics are in this relationship.
Yep. We're the bitch. Yep.
All right, let's move on then. So the third match was the AEW International Championship four-way match with Orange Cassidy successfully defending against Daniel Garcia, Katsuyori Shibata, and Zack Sabre Jr. in 11 minutes 27 seconds with a crucifix pin on Daniel Garcia. I really enjoyed Zack coming out ranting because they played his old music and he was saying, "Where's my TMDK music, you morons? That's the wrong bloody music." So that was very good. This was fun. I thought Daniel Garcia was good comic relief. They did lean into the US style, overly choreographed, synchronized multi-way match tropes that personally take me out of the match. But once they got that out of the way, it was really good. The Zack and Shibata rivalry, which, lest we forget, dates all the way back to, 2017? That was a nice thread holding the narrative of the match together. I would still like to see a Zack versus Orange Cassidy singles match. I hope that's the direction eventually. I thought him working over Cassidy's hand was well executed by Zack. It was sold well by OC. I think having no DQs in a four-way match is stupid, so I didn't like that. Man, there's just something really surreal about seeing Shibata wrestling.
Yeah.
It feels like a fever dream. And you can tell he really, really likes Orange Cassidy. So, we had the nice ending to the post-match with a handshake. But every time I see Shibata wrestling in ROH or AEW, I just think, what is going on?
Yeah.
But we've talked about that a million times. So I'm not going to rehash that. But this was a fun match. I liked it.
Yeah, I agree. Look, they had guys in there that made the match very interesting, even when it was, Zack and Shibata doing everything in their power to just get at each other. Like, I did enjoy that in the sense of, they're gonna fight tooth and claw, tooth and nail, tooth and claw, tooth and something, to get at each other. I like that. I thought that was pretty fun. Yeah, I mean, when did they change the title's name? Wasn't that like the Mid-Atlantic, Oceanic?
Who cares? Come on. No one gives a shit.
Oh, no? Oh, come on. I care. I don't give a fuck.
All right, grand. Let's move on then. Second match was the Owen Hart Cup first round with CM Punk defeating Satoshi Kojima. 30 minutes, 40 seconds by GTS. I mean, what more can I say about this match apart from the tweet from Kojima, "My elbow drop hit his cock, sorry." that was the best part of the whole show. Yeah, I mean, this was just a vibes match. Nothing special in ring apart from the elbow drop on the dick. But I thought they rode the good work from CM Punk to make himself into the heel. There were some fun little moments, him counting to 10 in Japanese with the corner punches and the Lariat, Kojima callback. Him doing Mongolian chops. So, yeah, a lot of shithousing, different flavour of shithousing to the MJF shithousing. This was more like sort of Punk fucking around with Kojima because he didn't think Kojima was on his level, and I thought Kojima played his role well. So, yeah, absolutely fine.
Look, I know that there are people that love him and people that hate him. I'm in the camp of I do enjoy him. I do. I do. Because I think the small things that he does, when it comes to like facial expressions or leaning into situations and making the most of them. Like, half the crowd loved him, half the crowd fucking hated him. And maybe even
that's it. That's what he's the best at. Like, he at all times, whether he's wrestling or cutting a promo, he has the crowd in the palm of his hands. And there's not many in the business as good as him at doing that. Like, physically, he might be cooked,
right.
But in terms of owning the room, he's the guy.
Yep, 1,000%. And people might not want to hear that, but like, you're exactly right. He owned the fucking room. I personally, I feel there is so much value still to him. Again, he's not Ring of Honor CM Punk. He's not, early, ECW, reboot CM Punk. He's not even Nexus CM Punk. But what he is a guy who is captivating, and for better or for worse, beats to his own drummer. And that's or drums. Why can't I get any fucking thing right? Am I having a stroke? Like, what is going on? like
this is your brain on AEW.
I feel like my brain is short circuiting. Like, I can feel it. like I can feel it disconnecting from my spine. I feel like Shibata right now, in the sense that somebody took out my brain. Look. I don't care who decided to fucking say, no, we're not wrestling when it came to the Kenta stuff, right? I truly don't give a flying fuck. I don't care if it was Punk, and that's the word that we got, is that it was Punk who put the old, I don't know if I'm doing that, brother, kind of thing. I don't know. I just think that...
Right, let's be clear, right? It would make absolutely zero sense for Kenta, who has been angling for this match for years, to suddenly say, actually, no, I don't want it.
Right. And here's the thing, too. Like, whatever. I think that horse has been beaten to death. My point is this. If you don't think that there is value in CM Punk, you are a fool, because there absolutely is. And I think even with the body not quite being what it once was, he's still a megastar, and there's money to be made with CM Punk.
And the first match was the AEW World Championship match with MJF defeating Hiroshi Tanahashi in 50 minutes, 46 seconds. I enjoyed MJF's robe, the New Japan is an indie robe. That was a nice touch.
Yeah.
And the fact that he scheduled a tweet 30 minutes into the broadcast saying that by now I will have already defeated the ace of New Japan. But yeah, this was like the perfect opener to get the crowd on their feet. Very much like the Punk Kojima match. It was a vibes match. I thought they had really good chemistry, good dynamics. This was all about the crowd and the heat, the character work, the taunting, the emoting. That did all the heavy lifting here. And to be fair, it was mostly MJF doing it. And I think he's got a lot of those skills that, we just talked about CM Punk having. And I know hardcore New Japan fans might not like him, but he is very good at what he does. He's like a sort of more cartoonish version of that, or of Jay White. And this is exactly what it should have been. This is what it needed to be. Not every match needs to be the work rate epic. I do enjoy the variety. I thought the build to this was good. They delivered on that appropriately. I will say this, the amount of shenanigans and Tanahashi getting a visual pin was very generous on him. I think that tells us how much MJF respects him and respects New Japan. Because if MJF had just beat him clean, I wouldn't have had any complaints whatsoever. Because, we've been seeing Tanahashi job into Hanare and Chase Owens in recent years. That probably speaks volumes about how I perceive Tanahashi now. We need to have that conversation about how long he's got left as a prominent singles wrestler. But this was a perfectly fine opener. But you tutted and you did a deep sigh, so I think you probably got something to say on this.
It was a moment of clarity and a moment of reality of where we are with Hiroshi Tanahashi. Boy, physically, mentally, he's there. I mean, he is arguably one of the smartest guys to get inside of a ring and to be able to do what he's been able to do for countless years is truly amazing. And he will go down as one of the greatest of all time. I think one of the biggest challenges with this match was the fact that people still think it's 2020 or 19 or it's not. And that was the realization that I think a lot of people came to with this match. And I think that is the thing that breaks my heart the most. You see it in all sports. You see it in all sports. But this was, I feel like, a defining moment in people realizing that it's 2023 and there are a ton of miles on this guy. I think the idea of presenting him as this legendary figure, I think you have to, right? I mean, of course you do that. The problem is that, and again, this is not a show that is built for casual pro wrestling fans, right? It's not. But if you happen to stumble across this, I don't think by any stretch of the imagination you would be thinking Hiroshi Tanahashi is this guy that is, I don't want to say worthy of a title shot, but worthy of a title shot, right? We know how New Japan has been slowly booking Tanahashi to, kind of take the spotlight off of him a little bit. I'm going to be very frank. And again, I'm not the worry police. They're adults. But the idea of Hiroshi Tanahashi grinding through a G1, I do have my concerns. So that's where I am with this match. Honestly, this was me watching a guy that, quite honestly, will go down as one of the greatest pro wrestlers of all time, being a step behind. And that breaks my heart.
Yeah, agreed. I am not looking forward to his G1 Climax at all. I'm scared. Maybe it should be the last one. It might be old Yellow time, but yeah, we will see about that. I mean, in terms of the pre-show, there's not really a great deal here. I mean, there was a 6-man LIJ United Empire match, which we've seen 1,000 times on any New Japan show. Although I thought it was interesting that TJP, who let's not forget is a title holder, taking the pin here. Actually, a lot of New Japan title holders taking the pin. Tanahashi, no mention of his never open weight 6-man title, and Okada.
Yeah.
So the disrespect thrown at our trios champions is outrageous, and I will not stand for it, and I'll be boycotting all future AEW collaboration. So yeah, there was that. I'm a bit surprised actually Shingo and Hiromu weren't featured more prominently on the show, but I guess you can't feature everyone every year, so whatever. ELP getting a singles match and a singles win, that was notable. I mean, all the people that were crowbarred into multi-mans to have, and I know he's sort of a hometown guy because he's Canadian, blah blah blah.
Okay, but that's the other side. He's from like Vancouver, isn't he?
So not hometown.
Yeah, it would be like
home country.
right. It would. Well, Canada's weird like that. Canada has one baseball team, the Toronto Blue Jays, that everybody rallies behind because it's the one Canadian team. But yeah, it would be like me saying I'm from Los Angeles. You know what I mean?
Yes. So maybe I'm sort of giving too much credit to that. But yeah, I don't know if I'm sort of reading too much into it. They did play the wrong music, actually, for ELP. It's a nice spot for him. He I'd say keep an eye on him in the G1. I think he's a clear underdog because he's got Okada and Osprey in his block. But I think definite dark horse down. I know a lot of people saying he's on fraud watch, but I'm sort of quietly bullish about his prospects there. And the opening match, Despy, Chuck Taylor, Rocky Romero, Trent Barreto. What a weird team against this AEW team. I don't even know their name. The Embassy, something like that. Whatever. Any other thoughts on the pre-show?
Truth be told, I missed that particular match. I did not see that match. But yeah, I mean, that's Fire Pro Wrestling 101. It felt like just rattling off those names. But no, I can't comment because I didn't see.
Tin Drum Ghost says, which show do you prefer, Forbidden Door 1 or Forbidden Door 2? I think 2 peaked higher, but I thought 1 was sort of more enjoyable. It had sort of a better atmosphere, better vibes to it. But there's not a great deal in it.
Yeah, I would say 1 as well, only because I think the people who were asked to step up did, incredible, with all the injuries and everything. And I think that helped play into it too a little bit, in the sense that the people that were there were going to make sure that this was in a memorable evening. And the wrestlers were there, in step with that thought process. So I don't know. Maybe the first one's always more special. I think that, the ceiling on 2 was higher. Like, I don't think that there was a match on 1 that came close to what Kenny and Will were able to do. But in the same breath, I feel like the entirety of the card itself for 1, and people stepping up and people making sure that this was good, I might appreciate more. My fear is this. If we do, and I'm sure we will, because there's money to be made, if we do a Forbidden Door 3, like, how much steam does this idea have? Like, how much longer do we have with the idea of these joint shows? Because I can already sense people kind of being like, okay, I kind of know what to expect. A lot of these things that we touched on, you're going to get more than likely a great main event, maybe even a great semi-main event to throw in there, but also a lot of stuff that you're like, all right, right? So I don't know. I know I enjoyed 1 more than I enjoyed 2. That's for sure.
Well, here's an interesting one. Do you think, so this is from Viral Viper, when are we getting Forbidden Door in Japan? Do you think it's something that can cross over, or do you think basically that Forbidden Door is an AEW show and any AEW involvement in Japan would be within the context of a New Japan show?
I think if we do see a Forbidden Door in Japan, I think it's going to have a similar flavor and taste to what we see with these Independence Day, July 4th shows when it comes to Strong. Like, I don't think that you're getting the amount of people participating from AEW, and B, the amount of stars that you're seeing. Unless it's, big building worthy. Could they do big buildings? I think so. Sure. Yes. But like, I don't know if I in my heart, I feel like this is an AEW show. So if AEW is going over and New Japan is involved, I don't think we're going to see similar finishes and similar results as we saw on this show.
Agreed. Here's a funny one from, well, actually two. George says, since Jungle Boy never watched a Sanada match, do you think Sanada told Jungle Boy that his ultimate finisher was the moonsault and that's why he put him away with that? Fatty Lumpkin says, do the Japanese talent appreciate having to work Forbidden Door? Both Naito and Sanada phoned it in and got the hell out of the ring and went back as fast as possible. Did you get the sense from some of the New Japan talent that they were not, I don't want to say didn't want to be there, but were perhaps not showing the same
enthusiasm,
dynamism, yes, as last year's crew did.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would doubt that, right? Just looking at the matches themselves. Yeah, I mean, there were people that, I mean, and again, Naito's pretty, infamous for stuff like this, but yeah, you could see it. I feel like you could see it on a lot of guys. I don't know. Like, why am I feeling like I'm kind of over these? Maybe I'm projecting.
They are exhausting. They are absolutely exhausting. Like the discourse, the arguing, the bickering
Yes.
in the weeks leading up to it and the weeks after it. It's a lot.
It is a lot. But here's the thing too. Until a building doesn't sell out, they're going to keep doing them, right? They're going to keep doing them because there is interest in it. But so how long are you going to milk that cow? Like, how long can this last? Do we have a Forbidden 3 in us? Could you imagine a Forbidden Door 4? Right? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I'm. Look, I don't know. Once again, I always think about the value. What is the value that the promotion that I talk about? What is the value that they are getting? What if, aside from a big wrestling in front of a big house in Toronto, Canada? Aside from that, what was the win for New Japan?
I'm not sure there was one, and I know people will say exposure, but
Really, exposure?
I'm suspicious about that. I think that's overblown.
I do too. I think it's incredibly overblown, and I don't think that necessarily results in eyeballs on a pure New Japan Pro Wrestling product. I don't. Because if it did, we would see New Japan solo shows. Joe, that junior tournament thing in Philly, there's so many tickets still available. It's unbelievable.
It would help if they announced some talent in a match.
Wouldn't that be great?
But yeah, I mean, yeah. So what have New Japan got this year in Japan from AEW? We've had Kenny at the Dome,
Moxley,
FTR, Mox here and there, and Eddie Kingston in the G1. I may be missing a few here and there, but
right. Like, what is the value of this relationship from a New Japan perspective?
I'll say this: it's not. I don't think it's egregious. Like I don't hate it. It's fine. As I've said before, the discourse is exhausting. If it disappeared tomorrow, if like they said tomorrow, right, the partnership is over, no more crossovers, I'd be absolutely fine with that, because I think the most exciting part for me is everything that's going on in Japan with the New Japan native talent and their up and comers and all the stuff that we talked about at the start of the show. This stuff with the crossovers, I think this is more for the AEW fans than it is the New Japan fans, because I think that with the hardcores, at least, the freaks on our Discords don't really care for it that much.
No. Why would, I mean, look, the idea and the premise of dream matches happening, I'm all for. I think that's fantastic that in this day and age we're able to do that.
Fucking Biscuit Bones Danielson bugging it all up. Look what happened to that dream match.
Listen, he's eating all those vegetables. He snaps like a fucking celery. Come on. That was a joke. That was pretty good. little vegan joke. Come on. don't leave me hanging like that. Come on. Even a polite chuckle would have been nice. Jeez.
I was muted. I had to unmute myself so I could show my vocal appreciation for that, because that was a great gag.
Really?
That was a good
not
yes.
one of my better ones. Not one of my better ones. They can't all be gems, Joel. All right. All right. So where do we stand with this show? Can I ask you this? Where do we stand? Give me a scale of 1 to 10. Let's do the 1 to 10, shall we? Where is this landing for you?
A 6.
Okay. 6. I say I was going 7. I think. What was your thought on the main event? Not the actual main event, but the Kenny Will match. Is obviously it's less than the Dome, right? Less than Wrestle Kingdom. But where would you put that in the wide range of pro wrestling ratings? Where would this match sit with you? Like, is this a rewatchable match? Is this a match that's on Joel's VHS tape that he's wearing out? Like, where does this stick?
No, it's not. I don't think it's going to be in my top 10. I just thought it was the essence of the Tokyo Dome one, but just sort of cranked up to the goldfish-like attention spans of US viewers.
Yes, this is a Japanese treat that has been brought over to the United States, and we added our high fructose corn syrup to it. That's exactly what that's it. Like, and nice.
It's a California roll.
Yeah. That show was a California roll. Absolutely correct. Still good. You know, I mean, I'm not going to turn it down, but yes, it's
not sushi.
No. Right. This was a sweetened. This is the difference between the British office and the U.S. office, right? Like, this is what we got was Pam and Jim, right? We got Pam and Jim. Where Tokyo, we got Dennis Bryan.
David.
Did I say David? Did I say Dennis? Fuck me. The whole thing's ruined. I ruined that whole bit is ruined.
I delete the whole podcast.
I'm telling you right now, Joel, I got to go get medically checked because I think my brain. I think by tomorrow I'm going to be that celery stalk. I'm going to be it.
I'm not sure you're going to survive our preview of LEC presents NJPW Strong Independence Day, but we're going to persist with it all the same. This will be Tuesday and Wednesday in Korakuen Hall. So kickoff match, we've got Oscar Loiba, Yo, and Ryusuke Taguchi against a bunch of Freedoms juniors, Takahiro Katori, Dragon, Libra, and Kengo. I don't even know if that's going to make tape, so I'm not going to preview that. First match will be the DKC versus Badu Tito. Second match, we have Ryohei Oiwa, Alex Zane, and Lance Archer against Jarrell Nelson, Royce Isaacs, and JR Kratos. Third match, Kosei Fujita versus Tom Lawler. I mean, do I want to pause and give any analysis and predictions? I'll tell you what, I'll do that for the business end of the part. So I'm going to keep going because these are kind of nothing matches, really. Right. Fun, I like it. I'm excited to see these guys. Happy to see them. I'm sure the matches will be good, but I don't think there's really much point in me giving an analysis or prediction for it. These, your favorite guys from New Japan Strong, but now they're in Japan. Right. Yay! Right. Fourth match, we've got Rocky and Eddie Kingston against Gedo and Kenta. Fifth match, this one's interesting. We've got Willow Nightingale and Momo Kogo, who wrestled each other. Did they wrestle each other at the last US show? I think that they did. Did they? Yes, they did. So, yeah, they're teaming up now. So, they've earned each other's respect against the team of Tekla and Julia. And I'll talk a bit more about them for the Wednesday show preview because we've got quite a big singles match there. Then sixth match, business end of the card here. We've got strong openweight tag team championship match. We have Bishamon, Yoshihashi, and Hiroki Goto defending against the Bullet Club team, Gabe Kidd and Alex Coughlin. So the caveat to this being they will be wrestling each other again on the Wednesday, but Tuesday is for the strong tag titles, Wednesday is for the IWGP tag titles. So Who do you think wins? Who's walking away on Wednesday with each set of belts?
Great question. Would it be... I don't think we're having double dipping champions. One is walking away with one and one's walking away with the other. And this one's saying, hey, what do you want from me?
It would be a hell of a ballsy move to have Coughlin and Kidd take both away, wouldn't it? What a statement that would be.
Yeah, I would agree. I think logic dictates that they walk away, the Bullet Club team walks away with the strong titles. But, boy, would I love to see a nice little title change here with the big boy belts. That'd be nice. But I think it's going to be split. And I think that's where that's going to sit.
Yeah, I like that logic. I mean, I could see Coughlin and Kidd sort of running roughshod for the US-based shows. That could be, their stomping grounds. So, very excited for the matches, actually. Like, we have not seen Kidd and Coughlin in prominent tag matches since they wrestled in World Tag League, and that was under a very different dynamic. So, I really think in front of a hot Korakuen crowd, they're going to be going all out with a point to prove. So I'm very excited for these matches. I think they're going to be good. And a big challenge for them to put on 2 matches, 2 nights back to back, and try and do something different and interesting. Like, I'll be interested to see how match 2 plays off of match 1.
Right.
Are they going to be sort of playing into things that happen and sort of subverting little moments and tropes and whatever? So very, very bold booking. I like it. I don't often see stuff like that from New Japan. 7th match then, back to the Tuesday. This is the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match with the champions Catch 22, Akira and TJP defending against the challengers Clark Connors and Driller Maloney. So do you think we see both Bullet Club teams walking away with tag team gold, or do you think Catch 22 successfully defend?
I think, again, I always try to say, okay, if there's a title change, it probably won't be another one, So I'll say no title change. I think a successful defense will happen. But once again, I would not be surprised on these shows where it's a Bullet Club sweep.
And I think Catch 22 are probably going to defend there. I don't know. It's a bit of a coin flip, really, but I like Catch 22, so yeah. Main event then is an exciting encounter Doomsday no DQ match with Jun Kasai and El Desperado versus Homicide and John Moxley. I think it doesn't really matter who wins this, but my prediction is there will be blood.
Do you think there's so? You think so? You think there might be blood on this match? Yeah.
Imagine someone gets cut and then the referee rushes in and it's like, right, Matt, no, stop.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a safe bet that there will be some blood. Which, look, I know we have fans of the death matches, and I must say that while I can take them in limited doses, I think this will be great. I think this will be an absolute fucking train wreck, and a fun train wreck. Like Eddie Kingston. Trust me, there's going to be a moment where Eddie Kingston and Homicide are going to be lacing up their boots backstage at Korakuen Hall. And they're going to look at each other. And they're going to say, boy, this is a long way from Jersey All-Pro, isn't it? Like, this is a long way from where we came. And both of us in this locker room, we're going to go put on a fucking show. And I think that'll happen. And, Moxley, he's a lunatic. He's going to do some nutty shit, and then you might have the nuttiest of them all, the king of death matches. I think it'll be fun. It'll be exciting. It won't be boring. There will be walking brawls, I'm sure, but I think they're going to do their best to put on an incredibly entertaining bloodbath style match.
I just like to imagine Moxley pitching this work trip this business trip to Japan to his lovely wife Renee.
I know.
So what the match is planned, John? Nothing too dangerous. It's first night, just a tag match. Okay, all right, that's good.
Right.
What about night 2? Got a singles match there. Oh yeah, who's what? Just a straight singles match. Final death. Sorry, it's a final death match.
Right. Yeah,
This is the Wednesday main event, the 9th match. El Desperado versus John Moxley. It just says 9th match, 60-minute limit, final death.
Well, there's got to be an end somewhere, right? Yeah. Look, they're gonna go and they're gonna be wacky, and we know Despy. Boy, he has this side of him that really kind of thrives in this environment. So, once again, I think this will be great. And I think what this will do is this will help cement, if there are any doubts, that given the opportunity, El Desperado is not only wacky, but like so entertainingly talented and willing to do shit that you would not expect. And like, he's never going to be able to do this type of match. And I say on a New Japan card, I mean, obviously this is a New Japan card, but we know it's not like a, you know.
You say that, David. It's a bit weird having a New Japan show headlined by 2 non-New Japan wrestlers, isn't it?
Well, I mean, look, it's it's a weird time we live in, right? It's a weird day. It's a weird time. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be, without question, at the very least, it might not be the greatest thing you've ever seen, but people who see this will be talking about this match, and it will get a buzz. I have no doubt.
Yeah, absolute sicko hours from both of these guys, I'm sure. Then the 8th match, I'm working in reverse order for the Wednesday show because that's what I want to do. I've decided that's what we're doing. We have the Strong Openweight Championship match with the champion Kenta defending against the challenger Eddie Kingston. I would say this, name something that New Japan love doing more than putting one of their singles titles on an outsider who's not going to defend it for 6 months. You can't. That's their favourite thing. They bloody love doing that. So whilst it makes all the sense in the world for Kenta to get a nice defence in here before the G1, Eddie Kingston's probably winning this, never to defend it again.
You know what? I would not be surprised at all. You're probably right, because you are accurate in your statement. New Japan loves to do this. So. Yeah, let's ride that out. Let's keep that streak going and have Eddie wearing some New Japan gold.
7th match will be the Bishamon War Dogs IWGP Tag Team Championship match, which we've already discussed. 6th match is an interesting one. Strong Women's Championship match. This is Willow Nightingale, who obviously wasn't supposed to be the championship holder. I believe that was an audible called when it transpired that Mercedes Moné had broken her ankle against the challenger, Julia, who I'm led to understand is quite a big star in Stardom. So this, again, the New Japan sort of masochistic desire to put their belts on outsiders who don't work for them, perversion notwithstanding, it would seem like a good course correction here to have Julia win the Strong Women's Championship belt and then have what I think would be a really big match down the line with Julia against Mercedes Moné. Whether you would run that in the States or run that in Japan, I think both would be equally appealing to me, but that I think would be a very cool and exciting direction for this title.
Am I insane to think that this match has the possibility of, all right, I'll go all the way, stealing the show?
I think if we're looking at sort of a pure one-on-one wrestling match, then Despy Moxley is not going to be that.
No.
And Kenta Eddie is not going to be that either. So I think, if we're looking sort of pure wrestling, this could be the best one. I don't think it's going to upstage El Desperado versus John Moxley in Final Death. No, but I think it has a very good chance of what would be one below stealing the show, borrowing the show, running halfway down the street with the show and then getting apprehended by security.
Look, I think the spectacle of the pro wrestling match with the main event is absolutely there. They're walking away with that trophy, no doubt. But I think that, like, when it's all said and done, we might be sitting here saying that was the best match. Like that title defense was in ring wise the best match. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I think there's stuff on the line. I think the young ladies are you don't think they're excited, working this venue for this title on this show. I think they're jacked. They're ready to put on a great show, and I think I would not be surprised if they do have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder to say, okay, we're going out there and stealing the show. So, if you're a betting person and you're looking for match of the night, might not have the best odds right now, but I'd put a little money on that. I sure would.
Fifth match, we've got DKC, Ishii, and Tanahashi against Jarrell Nelson, Royce Isaacs, and Tom Lawler. Fourth match, Alex Zane and Lance Archer against Kosei Fujita and Bad Duke Tito. Third match, Rocky Romero and Yo against Clark Connors and Drilla Maloney. Second match, Ryohei Oiwa and Homicide against Akira and TJP. So interesting that both the participants in the previous day's junior tag match have got follow-up matches here against different opponents. And then first match would be Oscar Leuber versus Jao Kratos. And then we've got the kickoff match with Oleg Boltin, Master Wato, and Ryusuke Taguchi against the Freedom's Weirdos. So that is Independence Day. This is pay-per-view. I understand a lot of people are, and you as well, obviously, upset by this. I'm going to speak in defense of the pay-per-view stuff, right? New Japan needs to make money back. They obviously lost a lot during the pandemic. And it's not like they are putting, they're not putting shows behind paywall that would have normally been on World for free.
Yet.
These are extra shows. Yes, if they start doing that, if they're locking New Beginning or G1 or Dominion or whatever, if they start putting that on pay-per-view, then I will call bullshit on that. But I'm going to give them a pass and say these are extra shows and defend their right to put them on pay-per-view.
I mean, they can do what they want. I don't have to like it. And I think it's...
But are you going to buy it? Are you going to put your hand in your wallet and pay for these shows?
Well, it is a holiday weekend as we celebrate our independence. I honestly, I don't know. I don't know. Because while there is interest in a lot of these guys, first time in Korakuen maybe, and these main events are, to me, worthy. I mean, listen, if somebody wanted to throw me a code, I wouldn't reject it. If anybody wanted to toss one my way. Where is it? Is it Fight TV?
I assume so. I'm not sure, actually.
Okay.
Let's have a look on the old Fight TV.
And let me know how much it is, if you could.
Okay. I'm having to scroll quite far before any YouTube is setting up.
Okay, so maybe it's not on Fight.
Yeah.
Where is it? How does a human being watch this show?
Right, let me search NJPW. No.
Where is it?
No.
Is it on Samurai? Maybe it's on Samurai TV. I mean, I do have a way to get that.
Let me open up New Japan World. I mean, you can order it from New Japan World. It's approximately $30.
Oh, for each show?
That's for both days. No,
for both. All right. It's not too bad, but then I'm going to tell you the truth.
I think
probably
we'll put the Red Circle money towards that.
Yeah. Do we have any Red Circle money? I think I spent mine already. I think I had to pay the lawn guy. I think I said where that went. I don't know. I'm going to give you a solid I don't know because, again, it's can you watch replays? Can I ask that? Because I don't see me waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning to watch this.
Yeah, I'm sure you can.
All right, we'll see. Listen, there's 3 letters that I'm pretty familiar with, too, that I might be able to see. If you know what I'm saying. All right.
Just 2 quick questions. Multiverse A says, are these Strong in Japan shows going to be yearly, like Fantastic and Mania, or are these just special events for 2023 and we'll see the Strong guys on regular tours moving forward? I would say that depends on how much money they make. If they're a success, if the tickets sell out, and if they do good numbers on pay-per-view, I dare say they will do more of it.
Yep. Follow the money. Follow the money. That's your answer. Follow the money.
Daryl says, what is NJPW Strong after these shows? Is it a promotion still? Is it a dojo still? Is it just performers labeled Strong appearing on indies and allied promotions? Yeah, it's a pretty nebulous term at this point. I think any stateside shows that they do are under the Strong umbrella, the Strong label. And then when they bring large chunks of that crew over, then they can use that branding to squeeze more money out of people as they're doing this week. So, yes, I think the Strong label, I think it's pretty straightforward what it is in terms of the US shows, but in Japan, I think this is sort of dipping your toes in the water as to what value the Strong brand has in Japan.
Right. I mean, it's a label at this point, right? It's just I wouldn't even call it a brand. It's a label. And yeah, they're testing waters.
All right, that'll do it for today. redcircle.com/shows/super-j-cast if you want to give us some money that we can use to buy this fine pay-per-view and definitely not do the 3-letter thing. Discord link, you can get that by sending me a direct message on Twitter. It is great. I love our Discord. We've raised over $1,000 for a wonderful cause. So if you want to join that community, you can send me a direct message on Twitter, but you have to be cool. I will not accept any dickheads into the mix there because it's, I think, a really, really nice group that Booze has helped cultivate there with her wonderful skills. At Cobra Kawaii and ProWrestlingTees.com/SuperJcast if you want to get one of our t-shirts. I believe there is some sort of promotion running. They got an email from the PWT marketing team who says on the 4th of so this is between July the 3rd and July the 7th. There is a 4th of July sale. You can save 20% on ProWrestlingTees.com. Use the code America23, and you also get free USA shipping on orders over $150. So if you have not bought one of our t-shirts,
no excuse,
or if you have one, get another one. Get a spare for if one of them's in the wash.
Yeah, trust me, they will shrink. Trust me. They are not the best quality. You might need another one.
Just as well, you're getting the discount. ProWrestlingTees.com/SuperJcast and use code America23. Big thanks to editor Dan. Find him on Twitter at LousyHero219. Subscribe to the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network for other great shows. I was going to say something. I'm not going to say
what?
it. Say it. State review. No, I think I've already thrown enough thinly veiled jabs at other podcasts.
All right, we're not.
Follow us on Twitter at the Super Jcast. Thank you everybody for listening, and goodbye.
Hi, my name is Tyler Forney, and I am the co-host of The Good, the Bad, and the Hunky here on the Voice of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Every week, my co-host Fred Moreland and I discuss all the happenings of All Elite Wrestling and everything going on in the universe of Tony Khan. We talk about Dynamite, we talk about Rampage, and we will talk about Collision when the time comes as well, along with all the appearances outside of AEW from all the best talents in All Elite Wrestling. This is one of the more cohesive wrestling companies in the entire world, and we discuss every intricacy about it, including the unique booking of Tony Khan that is both a huge positive and a major detriment. Check us out every single Thursday here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragon Gate is how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragon Gate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.